Conservative New Media viewers, what's up? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and we've got Paul F. Villarreal there on the line. Now, we've been covering wall to wall this whole weekend this tragic shooting of Congresswoman Giffords and everyone else, all the other victims there, from the 9-year-old, poor young woman, or sorry, young girl, frankly, that was killed, to the federal judge that was killed, everyone in between. We wanted to definitely celebrate the heroism of the 20-year-old intern for Congresswoman Giffords that seemed to help save her life and whatnot and all that. Now, we've covered those. We've got all those other videos over here. We want to focus on some of the things that we've seen in the comments and frankly in the news coverage that we think is wrong, and we're going to start off right here. There's been people trying to blame I've seen Sarah Palin and the political vitriol and the tone and all these liberal whipping horses, right? And I don't think it has anything to do with that. We'll deal with that in the next video, whatever. But right now I want to deal with, my instincts. And first of all, this entire video is all of mine and Paul's personal opinion. We're not alleging any facts. We're not casting any aspersions. It's all for entertainment and informational purposes only. It's up to you to do your own digging, check the facts, and decide for yourself, and check the disclaimers on both sides of the video. Now, my own gut, checking this kid out, just my initial reaction is this guy's not a right-winger, right? And when I did some more, but I didn't want to say anything. To me, I felt like I had this guy pegged as someone of, sort of an extreme left-wing type of dude. We'll explain that in future videos about what I think is going on there, his type of style. And I think that when I lay it out, it's going to make a lot of sense to you guys, okay? And it's something we need to pay attention to because there's this kind of sort of fad going around here. We'll deal with that in the future videos, but check that out here. We need to make sure that the kids are not getting off on the wrong track. Now, the best read that we have right now, all of this is subject to change, we're learning things as we go, is that the guy appears to be quite decidedly left-wing. What we know is this is what we know. On his YouTube, he has favorited a flag burning video. Now, I know of zero people on the right wing that think that burning a flag is cool, that would have a flag burning video favorited. Okay? That's number one. Number two, he lists, favorite books. 1, Communist Manifesto. 2, Mein Kampf. Now, let's remember, and let's be clear about this, and we've said it before, and Jonah Goldberg had a great book on this, and we said it before Jonah Goldberg's book, and I've been saying it for a long time. Mein Kampf, written by Adolf Hitler. Well, Hitler was a fascist. No, sorry, yes, he was a fascist, and fascism is left-wing. It's a form of totalitarianism. It's right in there with, hardcore communism and socialism, and basically Hitler, and I don't want to get into this big discussion right here, but Hitler and Lenin were basically fighting over who was the real Marxist, okay, who was the true socialist, and whatever. Adolf Hitler was a member of the Brown Shirts, the Socialist Party, and then started the Nazi Party, which is also the National Socialist, leader of 2 socialist parties. Germany under Hitler was socialized and nationalized. Let's speak.
You know what? I'll just say something about this quickly. The difference between, one difference between communism and National Socialism, Nazi, is communism was international socialism. It is international workers of the world unite. National socialism was Germany socialism in this case. That's like one of the big differences, and that's like one of the only differences in a lot of people's minds.
Correct. No question about it. And I've studied this in school. I'm a political science major at Berkeley, the law degree at Berkeley, and everything like that. That's the thing. It's basically one Deutschland über alles, basically Deutschland overall, Germany overall. The other is workers of the world unite. That's basically the big difference. Okay, and and almost you find far more similarities than differences. And so, again, I know of zero certainly any kind of mainstream Republicans, conservatives, you know, right-wing, you know, I know of zero that think that have favorite books as either the Communist Manifesto or Mein Kampf, let alone both. I mean, and let's just, you know, I mean, you can even put Mein Kampf out there. There's zero people on the right have the Communist Manifesto as a favorite book. It's one thing to read it in school, or you had to read it, or you were curious. You don't list, no right-wing people list the Communist Manifesto as a favorite book. None of them. And it's so funny that just didn't, you know, everyone on TV wanted to mention about Sarah Palin and whatnot. We'll deal with that next video, and others. You know, I've heard Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh mention on some of our comments, but they didn't. I never seen to hear a mention about his favorite book being the Communist Manifesto. Now, a lot of things weren't making sense to people on TV. It made sense to me, as I'll say we're going to do another video after this about how it definitely had nothing to do with Sarah Palin or Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, and others. And we will do a later video, a third video, where I will describe and Paul will describe what we think is as best we can, sort of the thought process and motivations of this guy. Again, using our own personal opinion, a massive dose of cautionary tale. But, you know, I didn't want to say anything because this is a serious subject. We're dealing with it in a very serious and, you know, no pun intended, conservative way. We wanted to focus on the facts. We wanted to focus on the victims. We wanted to focus on the positive stuff. And I didn't want to step out there and use this in a political way as we felt that maybe other people were possibly doing it in a very wrong way. But now some more information has come to light that made me want to speak on this. And also there's been so many people that seem to be using this as a political football. We wanted to say some things. And the thing of it is that, okay, there is a alleged classmate of his that had been putting out some tweets where basically, Paul, you know the information about this. Why don't you go ahead and talk about this?
Yeah, this woman's name, a young woman, I believe her name is Kathy or Catherine. I think she was interviewed
Katie.
on ABC.
Katie.
Yeah, Dan Harris on ABC. And unfortunately, Dan Harris didn't mention that on her Twitter feed. She said clearly that she always, you know, thought of him and felt that her friend, this suspect, Jared Lee Lochner, was a left-wing liberal. I mean, you know, this is a person that knows him or knew him or whatever.
I even have it here. I believe her name is Katie Parker. We're going to list we're going to have them in the description below, the articles. You can check it out for yourself. Decide for yourself. There in the article right here, that quote unquote he's left wing and quote unquote a pothead, and we have also that quote unquote quite liberal and a political radical. Now we're going to put the list on this below and whatnot, and this is we've got an article here from the Phoenix News Times. They're all over this. We're gonna, you know, so credit to them and props to them, and we're going to list the article below. This is obviously extremely newsworthy right here. And talks about some of the musical people he's into, which, you know, this seems like 60s radical type people, you know, if you listen to the people that he's into, you know, music-wise, you know, 60s, 70s radical type people, and all that. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying that you get a bit of a zone on this guy. Everything that we know right now seems to indicate that he's a left-wing liberal guy. Well, John, what about what Department of Homeland Security said that he was, you know, might be linked to this far-right anti-Semitic group? Yeah, well, Fox News did some great reporting on that, and we'll link to that below. First of all, you know, again, this is who has Department of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Well, how great of a job did they do on the underwear bomber, right? And remember, wasn't Janet Napolitano the one that said the system worked great or something like that? You know, how'd that work out? And how about, like, and I like the way they apparently in the article there was something like, well, we can't have any direct ties to him, but we think that maybe, okay, so basically you have no evidence. And it was so funny that, you know, with the Fort Hood shooter, who was, you know, saying all these, you know, radical, extreme things about, you know, radical Islam and stuff like that, that he didn't seem to want to tie him to anything, any of that. or that evidence seemed to be fairly substantial in that case. But what was so great is Fox went out there and they interviewed the head of this whatever, you know, group. I've never even heard of this group before. And they interviewed this guy and he said, yeah, I've never heard of this shooter. He never went to any of our meetings. We don't see him on any of our logs. We're East Coast. He's in, there's nothing there. This is a joke. You know, so in my personal opinion, maybe they have evidence that I haven't seen. Maybe they know something that I don't know. And, you know, it could turn out that maybe they're right. But at this point, it sure doesn't look like it. Okay? And well, okay, John, well, what about him saying that we've got a fake currency and you know, that sounds like those extreme anti-Fed people, this and that, whatever. Okay, let's deal with that. There are some people that are, you know, 9/11 truthers on the right, 9/11 truthers on the left. There's people that believe in the New World Order on the right. There's people who believe in the New World Order on the left. There's people that don't like the Fed on the right. There's people that don't like the Fed on the left. But that's my point. That in of itself doesn't say anything, because there are people that don't like it on the right believe that, and they kind of actually come at it from a somewhat similar stance from what I can understand, right? Some people on the right don't like it because it's like, hey, this is extra governmental and it's funny money and, you know, it's not backed by anything and it's, you know, it's dangerous and that, whatever. The people that don't like it on the left, as far as I can understand, believe in this global banking conspiracy. Some of those people might be anti-Semitic and tie that whole craziness and wrongness into it. And so, you know, but to get into the mind of, as much as I can, the leftist that doesn't like that stuff, that comes from more of a, hey, the corporations are controlling the workers and through money and taking over countries and this and that, whatever. That's what that's about, right? I believe, I might be wrong, but I think there's like been movies about this and stuff like that, right? You know, more left-wing type movies and stuff. Paul, do I have that? What's your read on that?
Yeah, I think that's basically correct. We were talking about this before we started shooting here. Somebody was mentioning that there's a supposed convergence between the extreme far left and the extreme far right. And what I was saying was, look, the extreme far right doesn't want government because they're comfortable with what they have and like property and stuff, and they don't want government to interfere with that. They don't want to take it or tax it, or etc. The extreme far left, on the other hand, might, you know, can be anarchist and not want government, but they want it more because they're afraid that there are corruptive influences like corporations and stuff, and that therefore those corporations, those corruptive influences will act through the government and hurt the little guy. So it's not the same thing. Even though they might not want government, both of the extremes, it's for different reasons. At least that's what I've always understood.
All right, so the bottom line is that we think this guy, in our personal opinion, is on the left wing. There's no hard evidence that I've seen that indicates that he has any connection whatsoever to the right wing or any right wing groups, whatever. And the people that are trying to say this out on the media or other people who are trying to jump on this, what I believe is, in my personal opinion, if for political motivations, I think that they're wrong. You tell me what you think. Comments below, subscribe above, any kind of, you know, again, keep your comments legit, intelligent. We're not going to have any kind of AstroTurf or anything in this. And again, please rate this video high and put it everywhere, because we have to get this information out, this opinion out, to be able to counter what's going on right there in the mainstream media and how I think that they're trying to unfairly target the right wing and our leaders and our icons in the media, whether it's Rush Limbaugh or Beck or Sarah Palin or anyone else. And we're going to stay tuned for our next video where we're going to show why this has nothing to do with Sarah Palin, Glenn Beck, or Rush Limbaugh or anyone else on the right